Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Scorched Earth, and as you can see, there is something behind me, and that is the coffin. This video is going to show you why the coffin is insanely powerful, both for PvE and for PvP purposes. It's something that you probably should have in your hotbar at all times. They're really, really awesome. Now let me talk about why and kind of the big reasons behind that. Now, if you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing to the channel. So anyways, this is what the coffin looks like over on Scorched Earth. Now, what does it function as essentially, right? It basically functions as a bed. Now, that is really awesome because it functions as a bed, but it doesn't need a foundation. So it actually is a bed that is placeable like a sleeping bag in two different formats, both vertically and both horizontally. Now, that is essentially what it is. It can be unlocked using the Bob's Tall Tales and then going over to level 20 and getting the coffin. And you can see that there's also a little bit of a fun game you can play, because you can actually hide somebody inside of the coffin, and then, you know, it's just entertaining. Remove snapshot, and then you can lay inside the snapshot, pick up coffin, and do all those kind of things like that, right? So you can put a fake person inside of that just by taking a screenshot or a snapshot of it, but that's not necessarily why it's broken. So you could definitely use that for your advantage though, because if you have something that's a fake in there and someone respawns into it, that's an awesome thing to be able to prevent people from just shooting you as soon as you spawn in. So definitely take advantage of that, but that's the PvP thing. So why are these things actually useful, right? So they're incredibly cheap to make, coffins are, and then they are placeable anywhere. They can snap to each other just like you see here. They do not snap vertically. Unfortunately, you can technically snap them on top of each other like this, which is kind of cool, right? There's definitely going to be some uses for that, because you can technically snap these as high as you can possibly go on a map, which is obviously a little bit broken, but you know, it is what it is, so we're not going to go too far into that. But you can snap them on all four sides, which is useful. And then obviously the vertical thing makes a big difference because it takes up less space if you're trying to place it somewhere a little bit inconspicuous, especially if you're playing a PvP map. As long as there's not something that blocks the vertical side of this, you can place it basically flat up against a wall or in an area that would be kind of, you know, a little bit more difficult to get to. So you can place it right there, or you can flip it like this and then fit it into like a little bit of an area more like that right there, right? Now, very hard to spot from a distance. So for PvP purposes, it's a very useful thing. You'd kind of have to know they were there. Much easier to place, and the ability that they're not a one-time use. So I can just walk up to this, right, and click fast travel. It will drop my items obviously nearby, and I can travel to my coffin, and then it's going to pop me out of the nearby coffin that I just spawned into. Now I'm going to go ahead and head back to the one that I was just at. I'm going to enable GCM in order to get there. Really? You're not going to let me do that? Sometimes this game makes no sense when it comes to GCM, but it is what it is. And I'm going to go back to pick up my items and show you that the coffin conveniently is still there. Now, again, it acts like a bed. You can see that there is a cooldown timer that gets applied to it. So that's a very useful thing, but that ability to quickly travel and then have one of these in random locations around the map without placing foundations is a very, very large advantage. Now, both for PvE and PvP purposes, because they do not count as a structure, they can be placed near things and other things can be placed near them, which is a super convenient ability, so that you can kind of have multiple people have a spawn point in the same area. Now, they may have fixed this in the last 24 hours, but when it was a first release, you could have 4 different tribes with a coffin directly next to each other, so that's kind of cool. They might, I don't know if that's technically the case anymore, but you know, we'll see. So that's something cool for that purpose. Now, the other reason that's useful, because you should be carrying sleeping bags on you and have them in your hotbar at all times. Let's say you get swamp fever or something like that, and your character ends up dying and you don't have much time. You just throw down a coffin, and then you no longer have anything to worry about because you have a free respawn point wherever you are, just like this. Or for raiding purposes, if you're raiding somebody and you want to actually go towards their base, you might have a bigger problem, and it's easier just to respawn your food, toss down a coffin wherever you are, quickly respawn, and then go inside of the coffin, and boom, you're good to go. Now, yeah, super useful technique, right? Now, you can also kind of use this as a fun little trick, because you can go ahead and lay inside the coffin. Where is it? Lay inside the coffin. There it is. And then it's an easy way to avoid taking damage from anything, because it also blocks damage from the sides, which is kind of cool. At least I think that's a super unique function of it, but it is what it is. So using these for caving, using these where you would normally use a sleeping bag and not having to place a structure down in order to have a respawn point is a super useful feature. Some people aren't going to like see why this is such a big deal, but it really is. Because having that ability to slap something down from your hotbar without having the additional time of foundation then bed on top makes a big difference. Plus being able to have multiple of these from different tribes near each other, another big difference, because it's not going to count as a foundation. Now, that being said, there's a lot of things that you can use it for, and I hope that people take advantage of it in a non-cheesy way, but you know, I expect things to not necessarily go the best over time. So it's definitely something that is overpowered for those reasons, for both PvE and PvP purposes, because if you're going to die, throw down a coffin and all of a sudden you don't have any problems. Definitely take advantage of it. So anyways, hopefully this video shows you why the coffins are super useful, and you should definitely use them in your hotbar. All right, other than that, teach.